the name of your ranch?
It's Ava's Place.
Avis Place. So we're in Avis Place on the border of Montana and Wyoming. I have with me Joe Onisick. Joe, what's your company name? I don't know your official IT company. Like I've known you as Joe Onisick, the rancher, but you're Joe Onisick, co-founder of
Transformation Continuum.
Transformation Continuum. I know that because you did a spot on the CTO Advisor virtual conference last year.
That's right.
Very good, and we're looking to get you on the podcast in the next couple of weeks so that we can just continue that conversation about transformation. But talking about transformation, one of the things that we wanted to talk about was this idea of multi-cloud and data repatriation. We've talked about workload repatriation a lot,
Right.
but how can you have the conversation about workload repatriation without having the conversation about data repatriation? What are you seeing in the market?
So it all revolves around a term Dave McCrory coined, 10 years ago, of data gravity. So my workloads are going to trend and my services are going to trend to wherever my data is.
Right.
So if I'm using Amazon S3, guess who's, I'm using EC2, I'm using their Kubernetes stack, I'm using all the rest of it. If I'm starting to spread out into multi-cloud, now where does my data sit? If my workloads need to get it from the edge and they need to get it from Azure and they need to get it from some private resources. So the data repatriation is the idea of where can I put this data that's a neutral or demilitarized zone that has equal access at a cost I can afford to whatever I need to connect it to.
So one of the problems with that is this idea, when I think about that, one of the problems that immediately jump to mind is egress charges. Like I can have all of my data in AWS. Well, we just recently did a video with AWS and NetApp on AWS's and NetApp's partnership. But that doesn't solve the problem of egress. When I need to get the data out to the edge or I need to get the data out to another cloud provider, I have these challenges around egress. How are customers overcoming egress in this kind of data mobility problem in general?
So I think the big challenge with doing that is going to be the cost, right? Storing in S3 is cost affordable. Getting it out of S3 may or may not be.
Right.
So that's a cost. And then latency, speed, performance, right? Because if I'm in S3, chances of being really fast to EC2 are high.
Right.
So what we're seeing a lot of is using co-locations or technology vendors like Equinix or Digital Realty that have fast cloud on-ramps, direct access to those internet backbones so that I don't take a huge latency hit as I'm moving into these neutral parties.
So I still have to do the math around the cost really about putting data outside of AWS or Google or Azure. So if I'm doing intensive workloads where I'm generating data in the public cloud and pushing that to the colo, I have to incur those costs. But those costs are lower because there's agreements between the colo and the service providers, and I can get the data out to the edge. This is the premise of the CTO Advisor hybrid infrastructure. Our data center is in a QTS facility in Chicago. We have a connection via Megaport, a 10 gig connection via Megaport, and we can push data, as fast as we want to, basically wherever we need to get it. So it's not held hostage in any one of the cloud providers. What are some of the more interesting use cases that you've seen for data repatriation?
I think on one side I always call it keeping my vendors honest. So years ago when I was selling networking hardware, we were selling to one of the large cloud providers, and they told us no matter how good your switches get, we're buying half of them from your competition because they knew it would keep us honest and innovating on our switches. So if I own my data and my EC2 costs or my Azure instance costs start going up, my cloud provider knows I have mobility. I can move to another cloud. But if I'm sitting beholden in S3, they know I'm not going to go through the costs of moving the data, the workloads, the services out, at least not on a whim decision, on a flip decision.
It's one thing to get a AWS Snowmobile. I think that's the big semi-trailer and pull the data into petabytes of data into AWS. It's another one to send the snowmobile back and get that data out. They do charge you by the megabit getting data out of AWS. Joe, I really appreciate you taking time to come and talk to us about multi-cloud. Before we end the conversation, I want to hint to something that you're planning in the future. This wasn't planned, but I'm at the Avis Ranch. This has been extremely relaxing. We talk about IT burnout. Talk to me about the future of the other side of what you do, Avis Ranch.
So what we're doing right now is getting this up to a working ranch, and that means I'm having to learn everything, right? Learning how to live with cattle, run livestock and all that. Once this is a working ranch at a small scale, we want to start bringing out here for people out here for IT burnout. So I had this crazy dream of let's leave Silicon Valley and buy a ranch, which in my life I can execute on that kind of craziness. Right. A lot of people have that dream, they'll never be able to do it, or not in the near term. So I want to give them a taste of it where they can come out, have people that understand their world, but out in something that's completely different from that.
So kind of a try before you buy.
Absolutely, it's the proof of value on your ranch or farm life.
So I've only been here for less than 24 hours, and it's been completely a different world. 120 acres of just rolling hills, beauty, again on the border of Montana and Wyoming. If you want to learn more about the CTO Advisor, you can follow us on the web, thectoadvisor.com. Joe, link for your gig, your daytime gig. What's the link to the website?
Link to the website is transformationcontinuum.com, all one word.
If you want to find either me or Joe, we're on Twitter. We tweet a lot. I'm at CTO Advisor. Joe is at Joe Onisick. Talk to you next, CTO Joe Dose.